I was like, let me do this cute like gardening outfit, and now I'm like, these overall shorts are just not doing it for me right now, but that's okay. This is the decision we made and we're gonna live with it. Right, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Lena. I make videos, and today we are doing something a little different. Also, if you hear a ruckus or like the curtains move, those are my cats. I have two. I have a boy, Hydrogen, and a girl, Nebula. And they're play fighting right now all around me while I'm recording. So if you see them, that's what that is. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the video. So for today's video, I wanted to kind of tell you guys my story of how I moved to LA on my own when I was 22 years old. And while I do that, I wanted to repot some of my plants so it was a little bit more exciting and not just me sitting in front of the camera talking about myself for 10 minutes. Instead, I will be doing an activity while I talk about it. The boy is back there, but I'm sure he'll pop out. All right, so I have a couple of plants I need to repot. My basil plant actually is dead, it looks like, so all I need to do is just trim that one. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and trim that bad boy up first. Also, if you hear some sounds outside, I live in Los Angeles. People are always loud. It's gonna just happen. I don't know how to avoid it just yet, but hopefully soon I will figure that out. I got this basil plant. It died. I didn't take care of it properly, and so I actually read online that if you just trim these down, that it will grow new. And we already did that with our mint plant, so I thought I could do it with the basil and it would be the same. Also, this is my journal that I will be kind of reading out of in terms of kind of how I want to talk about my move to LA. And so while I cut my basil plant, I will give you guys a little bit of a background on myself. So cutting down the plant. To give you guys a little bit of background, I am a Palestinian Muslim woman. I am one of 6 kids. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and I moved to Los Angeles on my own at 22 years old. And so I'm hoping with this video that you guys get inspiration or you get ideas of like how you can do it. I'm like kind of a success story in terms of someone who did do it on their own. This is just me telling my story and hoping that it inspires some of you guys and gives you guys some good advice on how to do it as well. So the reason why I give you all that background is because I am the 4th of the 6 kids. And that is kind of important to note and why I was able to pull off what I did. I had the help of my siblings a lot. I have a really close relationship with my siblings. And so by the time I was ready to move out on my own, my oldest sister had already gotten married and moved out. My second oldest sister moved out for grad school on her own. And my brother had moved out on his own for grad school as well. So then by the time it came out for me to be ready to move out on my own, my parents were accustomed to 3 of their children already leaving, and so it was kind of normalized in my family to leave. So it wasn't such a big deal for me to leave. But I do want to kind of preface that with just because my other siblings left didn't mean that it wasn't hard for them to leave, and it wasn't hard for me to leave as well. So I've known that I wanted to work in the film industry since I was 12 years old. I wanted to be a director since I was 12 years old, and I would talk about it all the time. I literally played the long game here since I was 12 till I was 22. So like 10 years. It took 10 years for this to happen. So I kept talking about it over and over and over again. Oh, I want to make movies. I want to work in LA. I want to move to LA. I just want to do this. And I kept talking about it all the time to the point where like it became more normalized in my parents' heads that this is something that Lena will pursue at some point. But before I got them on board with this career choice, I kind of had to work hard, kind of had to like show them, kind of had to negotiate with them. All right, we're back, people. My battery died, so I just replaced it. But as I was saying, oh my God, I feel like so awkward sitting. I don't know how to sit. But the thing I was saying, our parents are humans too, and a lot of them just want to see us succeed. What success means to them might mean differently to you, and so that might be the point of conflict right now of like, you want to move out on your own, you want to do this, you want to do that, and your parents are over here like, no, we don't do that. That's not our culture. That's not how we do things. And it's kind of a point of contention, which is probably why you clicked on this video, or you want to learn more about, or you know me and you want to learn more about how I was able to do this. I think a huge key factor in why I was able to pull this off was the fact that I knew that this was my end goal. And I kept in mind that I live in my parents' house now, and I need to find a way to make sure that my end goal and my parents' end goal for me lined up. That there would be a way that I could convince them that what they want from me is still achievable in the way that I want to do it for me. Because you have to negotiate, okay? I told you guys I played the long game. You have to negotiate with your parents. You have to show them and you have to prove to them that you are capable and able to handle this on your own. Also, you can hear the children literally crying at each other. Whenever my mom would call, I would answer. I would go home, I would listen to everything that they said, and I would just do it, and I would just suck it up. And even though I thought it was unfair or I didn't like it, I would just suck it up. I never did anything bad, okay? And I put it quote unquote bad because bad is, subjective, objective. I was confused the two per person. So for me and for what my parents meant, I literally used my definition of my parents, what bad meant was don't do drugs, don't drink, don't talk to boys, don't do any of that stuff, okay? So at that time in my life as a teenager, it kind of helped that I had no friends, but I listened to them. I did nothing. And in college, I did nothing. I listened to them. No boyfriend, nothing. None of that, okay? Because I did not want them to have one single thing that they could use against me for when I wanted to argue that, hey, I can do this, I'm responsible, I can be on my own, I totally know how to handle this. I didn't want them to have an ounce of a reason to not let me do it. Prove to them that you are capable of being on your own and that you do not need a man, you do not need, them, you do not need anybody to take care of you for your day-to-day life, and that you are more than capable of being responsible and making good decisions, okay? Right, we're gonna repot my pothos plant. So this bad boy needs to be repotted into this bad boy. So I need one of these guys to put underneath because the soil is gonna go through the hole, which is what I need it to do. Oh, God damn, this thing's so heavy. Okay, and I did not also think this through because I need oh, there's already a scooper in here. Look at us being prepared without realizing it. Bugs. When I was growing up, my mom had this rule. You had to do your undergraduate study at home, and then you could go wherever you want, is what she would say. In theory, okay? Okay, is that necessary, baby boy? Oh my God, okay. Come on. Go. Then, like I said earlier, by the time I had graduated undergrad, 3 of my siblings had already left the house. And when my sister left, the oldest one, she left when she got married. And at that point, my parents were definitely way more strict with how we would move and navigate the world as their children. And because they were more strict at that time, I grew up with more of a strict mentality. Because by the time my sister had gotten married and moved out of the house, I was in high school. At that point, my parents were like, you can only leave if you got married. Fast forward to 2010, my other sister graduates from college. And she really wanted to be out on her own because, like I said, my parents were like, oh, you can leave after undergrad. And so she's like, okay, well, I'm ready to leave. My parents were like, you can only leave if you get a job in another city or if you go to grad school. So this was around the time of the first recession. So my sister ended up going to grad school because she didn't get any job offers. So my sister lived in Chicago for about 2 or 3 years for grad school. And I would visit her all the time. My parents would visit her, and it was great, We love Chicago. Chicago is a really great place. And so I got to see on my own, and my parents got to see how they could just trust their daughter to live on her own. Like it's really not that big of a deal. that really helped me a lot because having my sister go first, I was able to, have that example and to better convince them that I was ready to move out on my own when it came time for me to move to Los Angeles. My last year of undergrad, okay, I went to LA 3 times before I moved so I could be responsible, so I could show my parents that I'm figuring it out, that this is what I want to do, and I'm going to be, smart about it. And so, first time I went to LA, I was able to go because I went through with MPAC, which is Muslim Public Affairs Council. They do this Hollywood summit, and that helped a lot because I proved to my parents, like, hey, not only are there like a lot of really cool Muslims in LA, but there's also a lot of cool Muslims trying to work in the film industry. So I won't be alone. There's going to be a whole community of people trying to do exactly what I'm doing. That really helped me a lot. And at that time, my cousin was living in LA. So with my other 2 cousins, we went. Then I was able to go to the MPAC summit because, we were staying with my cousin. If anything happened, he was there. So my mom and dad felt really trusting of him. They were really like, okay, he's older, he's a guy, it's going to be okay. I went to LA, and then I had already established that relationship with MPAC. So then I went to LA 2 more times before I moved to go to MPAC related events. Which, can I just say, this looks so freaking pretty and cute in this pot, and I can't wait till it grows more because it's really small right now. So this bad boy is done. So I was able to go to LA twice before I officially moved here. And that helped a lot because I felt more familiar with the area. My parents were more comfortable with me being out here. And they knew my cousin was out here. So if anything bad had ever happened to me, like, there would be at least one family member here to help me out. So then let's flash forward to 2014. August 2014 is when I moved to Los Angeles. So that summer, my sister got married, the one that had moved to Chicago. And my parents were so caught up and busy with the wedding that I feel like they kind of forgot about me. But they forgot, I don't think they realized what was happening. The weekend before I was supposed to move to LA, my parents freaked out. They were like, oh my God, our daughter is moving to LA. What is going on? What are we doing? How did we not pay attention? How did we not notice? I feel like they just kind of felt very overwhelmed with the situation. Okay, this is not. I feel like I'm doing this wrong. Plant people are going to come after me. I'm so sorry. I need to add more to the bottom. So, oh, baby boy, you're so dirty now. So the weekend before I moved, they freaked out and they were like, oh my God, our daughter is moving to LA on her own. What are we doing? What's going on? I had already bought a ticket, keep that in mind. And so they just got really, flustered and just like I am right now because of this baby boy. And I got all this dirt everywhere. So we made a deal, okay, at that point. We made a deal. We said, if I was in LA for 2 weeks and I didn't find a job and if I didn't find a job, then I would have to come back. I said deal, okay? I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to figure it out. And so I moved to LA with a suitcase and a carry-on and about like $500 in my account. And I barely knew anybody in LA, but I had a couple of friends, because I had done the MPAC summit. So I knew a couple of people in the city. And I wasn't completely alone. And so I did it. And when I first got to LA, I stayed with one of my friends for a little while until I found an apartment. That first 2 weeks in LA, I found an internship. So the internship was unpaid. But I didn't tell my parents that, and they're probably now finding out for the first time, sorry Mom, that it was unpaid. And the reason why I didn't tell them the truth there was because I knew that if I told them it was unpaid, they would be like, okay, come on, come home. Within like 2 weeks after that, I got a job at Starbucks. I had applied for tons and tons of jobs, and even though I was interviewing, I didn't get hired anywhere. And I was like, you know what? I just have to do it. I have to put my ego to the side, and I have to get just a retail service job because I need to survive and I need to be out here. So I got my job at Starbucks and I started making money. And then as I was making money and staying with my friend, I had enough to find an apartment. And so I wanted to be strategic about my apartment because I hadn't lived in LA before and I barely knew the city. So I needed to pick something or somewhere where I could feel safe and not have my parents worry about me, not me feeling worried about myself in terms of who I'm living with and what I'm doing. So I had just graduated from college, and when I was in college, I was involved with our MSA board, and so I thought to myself, let me find one of the big schools. I know there's USC and there's UCLA, and let me find their MSA. And through their MSA, I could hopefully find other students who are looking for housing. And so I thought about USC, but then I heard that USC is not in a safe neighborhood, and so I was like, okay, UCLA it is. But I knew UCLA was in like a way safer neighborhood, which I know safe is relative, but at that time, that is what I was told, and that is what I had heard, so that's what I wanted to go with. Ended up messaging the UCLA MSA page, and I found this girl, Noreen. Hi, Noreen. And Noreen was looking for a fourth roommate. And so I said yes. And I met them, and they were great. And so I ended up moving into Westwood, to right outside UCLA's campus. And that was the most I've ever paid in rent. But it was worth it because I was able to establish myself in the city. I lived with some Muslim girls, so my parents felt really comfortable. But yeah, I feel like that's how I did it. I know that might not be helpful, or it might feel like a little anticlimactic, but you know, that's the truth. I worked really hard. I built that trust and foundation with my parents. I was gonna repot this bad boy, but my pot is a little too small for him, and after what happened with the aloe vera situation, I kind of got nervous and I don't want to deal with that, so I will get a bigger pot for this big boy. Oh, look, all his leaves are getting a little brown, but he's also growing a new one, so I'm taking better care of him. I think they said that it's trauma from when you move a plant to a new home, so hopefully that's what that is. Oh yeah, you guys had questions. Oh my god, I feel so like disorganized. Okay, let's see. Okay, so the questions were like, were your family supportive? Did your parents go crazy when you told them you were moving, living out on your own in a big city? I would say that my parents were supportive, but they were like hesitant supportive because, you know, they didn't really know what was going on. They didn't really know, like in terms of LA, they'd never been here at that time, and they were just kind of worried, you know, just your average parents, worried, concerned. My parents weren't really offended that I wanted to move out on my own because they knew that I didn't really have any options in Columbus. And so by making that really clear to them that like I don't really know what I'm doing here and I felt like directionless, they were like, you know what, let her try this LA thing. Let's see what happens, you know. She's smart, she's responsible, she can take care of herself. And if something bad always happened, I would call them. I would make sure that my communication was really open with my parents. I would get pretty honest with my parents. See how you're doing? He's trying to eat the soil. He's such a... Okay, I think that's it for today's video. Sorry this is like kind of a ramble. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys can take away something good from this video. I know it's not like, haha, this is the trick. It's like, you know, the truth is you have to put in a lot of work and you have to, you know, work really hard. You have to build that relationship with your parents. You have to build that trust. You have to make sure that they know and understand that like this is a good thing and this will benefit everybody in the long run if you do this. So that way they can understand and like come on your side and not think like she just wants to leave me. Like, no, bro, it's like I have to do this for my own self so that I could actually have a life and, you know, actually like find somebody to marry and do all those things that you want me to do. I actually have to do this to find my life. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys like the style of video. Let me know. I know it's kind of like, I don't know, chaotic energy, but Yeah, literally though. I'm like, I keep doing this with my hands. I don't know. Like I said, I hope you guys like this video, and I don't know what to do with my legs. It's even more awkward than my arms, to be honest. I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't done so already if you want to after all of that chaotic mess. If you're like, you know what, this girl's weird, but I'm into it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video if you like it, and if you want more from me like this, please in the comments down below let me know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.